Yeah, hello. So I know it's late, as always, when Icinga comes, so I try my best to entertain you a little bit. So who has seen the current state of Icinga last year? Here. Where my demo, I totally fucked it up. You remember? So for today...
Okay, rule number one, don't f this up.
Introduction. So I'm talking a little bit what Icinga is, but I assume that anyone is here is pretty familiar how Icinga works and what it is. Before I go into it, I would like to introduce some of the people who are involved in Icinga, because most of them are here already, and I would like to go through them that you know it. It's Eric, who is our CTO responsible for the development, Blarim for partners and strategy product management. Thomas is our chief architect. Michael is everything. And community management is Florian, he's our UX lead. Johannes is our web lead. Alexander Klimov is fixing everything. All the others have the time to fix it, mainly on the core. Foy is in the UX team. Noah is in the core. Vanessa is doing the accounting, hopefully. Christian is usually in sales, but also developing Windows PowerShell. Julia is in marketing. Marius is in web. Markus Nieder is doing events, also IcingaCon for us next year. Martin is on sales. Bernd is here. And GitHub is here, and NETWAYS is here. Most of them will be around at the evening event, so if you have any questions, I hope you can remember, what is Flo doing? User experience. He will be in the smoker area most of the time, I guess. You can find him there. Just want to say that all these people are involved in the project. I'm proud to present that stuff. And also, because I have to say that all the people at NETWAYS are in some point involved in Icinga, for whatever purpose, doing some stuff, marketing, printing roll-ups, getting stuff in order, doing accounting. So pretty much everyone in the company is involved. So I would just like to do a shout-out for them. Yeah, my role pretty much reduced over the last years a lot. I mainly do, try to make people happy. Most of the rest is gone. So from the technical perspective, I really have to hard work that I can do my presentation well. You can reach me via email, or you can follow me on Twitter if you want to, using #gethash. Okay, let's go in. To give you a product overview, just where we see ourselves, we do, let's say, monitoring with our core strengths, with Icinga core. It's about availability, reliability, and all that stuff. Automation is a big part. In Director, where we try to work with other tools and do that very well. Logs are an important stuff where we also work with Graylog, Elastic, and all this stuff around. And of course, also the metrics and analyzing part. So that as a stack creates our understanding what monitoring is, what our tool set is, and our landscape is. So often the question comes, especially because if you don't know how Icinga works, I try to visualize it a little bit, what Icinga does in a daily life. So imagine that as a workflow, and because we are in the hipsters now, I do that with emojis. So Icinga watches your infrastructure, right? And if everything is fine, you are happy, because nothing is to do, because everything is okay. Perhaps sometimes it's not okay, but you don't care. Okay as well, because you don't care. But then you perhaps say awake at night and you get a PagerDuty or a direct notification alert and you're wondering, oh, there's something I have to do. You think about it, you do hard work and solve it, you are happy again. But could be that you have no idea what's going on. Of course you can, through hard work, figure it out, read documentation, solve the problem again. You can also figure out that one of your colleagues messed it up already a couple of weeks ago, and now it's on you to fix that shit again. So multiple solutions for here. You can try again hard work, or you can set up your clown face and you're happy again, because you do. Another way is always don't tell anyone. And don't tell anyone works for you don't know, it works I don't want to do this, and I have no idea. To summarize it, Icinga makes you happy. That is what we are doing. Highly recommend that workflow for your next work presentation. How we achieve that, we do a lot of work with all these products, with more less. Of course, there are things missing. There are tons of integrations out there we don't know. We are not doing them. We are not shipping them. This is just a bunch of products we are working well with, where we know that we work with them. But that's, again, our foundation was always and will be that we don't reinvent the wheel all the time. So if there's a good solution for a specific part like metrics, logs, or whatever, we try to work with them. Going in the community a little bit. Community was always a big part and is always a big part. I'm not sure, because last year when I did the presentation, we had it because we did it over Christmas, or pretty much Michael did it over Christmas. We have our own discourse where a lot of community stuff is going on. So if you're looking for, perhaps not for questions, but if you're looking for answers, that's a good place to put your question in. A lot of our team members are there, or a lot of other Icinga users are there trying to help you with various products and stuff we do. We also have an Icinga user survey. We started on Monday, I guess. Blaren wrote a blog post about it. What we do here, we try to learn more about what our users are doing, what they want, what part of integrations they're using, what features they are perhaps missing, what products they use we don't know. So it would be super helpful to do that. There's a longer explanation on our blog, so blog.icinga.com, where you can read about it, or just note that link, icinga.com/survey, where we would like to ask you what is important for you that we can make our product better in the future. We have one upcoming Icinga camp this year. It will be the 12th of November, is I think next week, Tuesday, right? Yeah, I think so. So if you live in Zurich, nearby, or you have to get some money there, go to Zurich and visit our Icinga camp. You can still register there, icinga.com events. And for the first time next year, we're going to have a big Icinga conf in Amsterdam. It's from the 12th to the 14th of May. The 12th will be workshops, and the conference will be on the 13th and the 14th of May next year in Amsterdam. So who's going to be there? Okay, we use the evening event to improve that rate. Just make sure you will be there. It will be a blast of an event. So we have a great evening event planned already with a barbecue outside. There are tons of reasons to go to Amsterdam. Icinga is one of them. So definitely make sure you can be a part of it. Ecosystem. Something we're working on all the time is getting new partners on board, because Icinga itself, we don't do any direct stuff with customers. So we have a partner network. We have a new partner in India, and we have a new partner in Brazil. They help us to grow there. India was always a very interesting market, because we know that we have a large community there, but we never were able to convert the leads we had over there into customers who are using our product. And also Brazil, which is a crazy huge market, because I was at a conference last year where somebody just put the map of Brazil over Europe, which is pretty much Europe. It's crazy big. Like flying from here to there is like 7 hours. There are a lot of people there, and a lot of movement coming up in the open source world. They will have about 15 DevOps days next year in Brazil only. There's a lot going on, so we are really happy that we have somebody there, and looking for getting the community there. Perhaps there will be an Icinga camp. Of course, it would be during Carnival. Of course. Who is using Icinga? I have that slide every year, where I try to figure out who of you is using Icinga. Means of some of which we know. Most of the users we have, we don't know. Because it's an open source product, people use the packages or do it from GitHub or whatever, but we don't know. We would like to learn about more who is using Icinga. Of course, having your logo on the website. Please do, though. And if you do it until tomorrow, one of you get a free ticket to Amsterdam. To the conf, not to Amsterdam, but to Icinga conf in Amsterdam. Anything else which you do in Amsterdam is not on our card. It's just covering the Icinga conf. So you have a chance until tomorrow, 2 p.m. Fill in your user story. Would be super helpful that we get more information about it. Okay, going to the product, and I try to go through. Usually I'm over time, but okay, I'm still good in time. to give you a little bit of an update what happened to the core products in Icinga. I start with the core, the infrastructure monitoring part. So currently, 2.11 is our major release. It's out on the market. It took a very long time, and I think we pretty much spent the whole summer on 2.11 because we did a lot of under the hood. So we replaced the whole network stack in Icinga, which was previously, I would say, our own stuff. Now we use the boost libraries to do so. Also, we replaced the TLS implementation and all that HTTP handling, making Icinga much more reliable, and also in large environments, it's capable of handling more connections and all that stuff. So for those of you who are having and have to deal with a large environment, Icinga 2.11 is a big improvement. Even perhaps you cannot see it in the web interface or something like that, but it's really a big stuff going on under the hood here. Also, the performance writers like Elasticsearch, Graphite, InfluxDB, they are now capable to run in an HA environment, so they are highly availability. If you need that in a cluster environment, you can configure them now in an HR modus. Also, another thing to mention is the readout handling, because before Icinga, we had a single process, then we reloaded the configuration, that process was gone, and now we do it in a different way, that we fork another process out, which means it's one of the foundations required to run Icinga in a container, because if you kill your main process in a container, it's not so much fun, because then your container is gone. So we do that differently. That's also something happened in 2.11. Thank you. So it's the first Kubernetes user. No? No, we don't migrate. Yeah, for those who need it, means, and also container support, because I think containers are here to stay. Not that Docker is here to stay, but I think containers are here to stay. This is one of the parts we need to be part of, and we would like to be part of having Icinga ready for the container infrastructure. Our web interface 2.7 is the current release. What happened there? We have support for Markdown and all that common stuff, which is like current for the current web release, nothing to do with upcoming other stuff I'm telling you later. We have support for Japanese and Ukrainian language. Some of you is able to speak Ukrainian or Japanese? Okay, perhaps that point was not a perfect match for here, but anyway, just that you know, we have a huge community, they contributing it, because nobody of us is able to do Japanese translation. So we have people there using it, contributing back, and this is how open source should work, that they find their language, and always language is an important barrier to get user acceptance, which is always underestimated, because we come from the tech perspective, think everybody should be capable to do it in English, but this is not the case. If people can find their GUI in their local language, it's also helpful to get acceptance. Also jQuery, which is also important for other stuff in Icinga Web and the framework. All the forms and list views, especially in the whole configuration part, got a redesign, and also a lot of improvements for the model developers, which are important for us, that it's easier for them to extend Icinga. Another thing is like integrated colorblind theme. There are so many people who are in some way not able to see all that colors, which is crucial for monitoring as well, that we have a colorblind theme you can switch on. If that's somebody in your company, and I learned because Foy, who is in our UX team, gave a talk in Stockholm, how many people are really involved by that, and how a blind theme could help. So also like screen reader feature set, how we can read out the text-to-speech stuff improved a lot. If that's something for you, you should definitely have a look. vSphere. Thomas is starting to crying already. It's the first slide about your stuff. Yeah, okay. You see, like Thomas is pushing all the time, and Plarim, our product manager, is highly in danger and crying a lot to get this done. Who's never heard of it? Honestly? Who never heard of it and using VMware? 4 hands? You should definitely use it. What it is, the Icinga for vSphere is a module where you connect to your vSphere infrastructure and get all the detailed information about your vSphere infrastructure, your host, performance, vMotions, all that stuff, resources. We have our own API implementation, so we're not using the VMware implementation because life is too short for that, because it's very slow. So Thomas developed his own stuff. I guess he changed it 5 minutes ago, but it still works. So there was a lot going on in this area. One of this, it provides now an import source in the director out of the box, so there's no more SQL knowledge required. Anyway, everybody in IT should have some basic SQL knowledge. As a database person, I tell you should have. Perhaps not. It's now able to run without Icinga director, which was previously a requirement that you have both on it. So now it's also possible to run the vSphere model without the director. And a lot of improvements in the UI. One thing is that it's now much more clearer if you see if a VM is in a powered off state, which was previously harder to figure out. And also the detail view is much more powerful, where you can add all that resources here and can customize your visual grid. Can you read it? Like reset, power status, host memory, and all that stuff. So you can figure your view and have a detailed view on your vSphere infrastructure. There are also screenshots in the GitHub where you can see them in detail. That's a little bit too small for the presentation right now, but a lot have happened there. Director, which you released like now. Director 1.7, now the new minor release is 1.7.2, if I'm correct, is our configuration tool. Who is using Icinga Director? Who is using Icinga, not using Icinga Director? There are tons of reasons to use it. Perhaps there's, of course, a reason not using it. There are other ways to configure Icinga. But Director is our way to configure Icinga because we think it's a crazy powerful tool. Sometimes we think it's too powerful because it's hard for us to figure out what it's able to do because it can do a lot. We also have Japanese translation, of course, and this is, of course, in Japanese if you want to learn it. We have scheduled downtimes now configurable with Director, coming with 1.7. And now, which is really cool for large environments, where multiple people working with Director, we have a preview of all changes before you do it. So if you like now do a deploy, you get all the changes on the object base, you can do the config diff, but now you can see what object changes, especially if one object changed multiple times because other users perhaps worked on a service template or something like that. They can now do it with Director and get a preview with it. That's the Japanese translation of Director. It's cool, I think. That's the scheduled downtimes feature. And here's, it's just an example. If you say we have like, who has like a Microsoft patch day or patch night or something like that? Some of you? That's a pretty easy example how you can do that. I would say you would like to do just a scheduled downtime for all my Windows stuff. This is one part of the screenshot. The next one is coming soon, where you get your fixed downtime. It's no, in this case, just a 20-minute duration. And then you could use the Director host variables and say to everyone in test environment using Windows, you have your downtime, which then creates a rule for that. And then you have automatically configured a downtime for your Windows setup every Friday, every Thursday, or whatever. Now doable with Director. And another thing is the sync preview, where you now can see what happened to your configuration. You get a summarize where you see what address in this case or display name imports which changed. You get a diff, and before you ship the code to Icinga, you can see pretty much anything which changed, which is, I think, for a large environment, a pretty cool feature. All right. Icinga BP modeling. Who's using this? You're trying? Okay, I will try in 2 minutes as well. Icinga BP modeling was previously Icinga business process monitoring, and at some point it was business processing for something else. Now this is the name for it. There are a couple of new features. One of is that you now can use drag and drop in the overview and tree layout. Who of you is using the BP add-on and knows that this feature exists? Not so many, which is cool because then I have something to show. You can import and you can import and reuse defined business processes in the UI. You can also export the data, but export is way harder to reach like import. It's like the cloud. Easy to import, hard to export, right? We can do both, but you can import your stuff very easy, and I will show you how that works. And also the breadcrumb UI makes it easier to go through bigger business processes. I'll show you how that looks like, hopefully. Don't fuck it up. That's true. Okay, so disparate resolution. So now we have, like just here, it's just a small example business process. What you previously need to go to the configuration, would like to change some order, you can do editing now and just move them from one left to another. If you have multiple objects or a dashboard, it's super helpful. We just import another one that you can see it. So I have a predefined process here. Then you can see we have like a Kubernetes workflow or whatever that is, business process here. In that case, you have to store it. You can go into the objects, and also right here, perhaps it makes no super sense because it's just like a database machines. But now what you previously had to do going back to the file, you can just go here, drag the objects where you want them to be, store that in the web interface, and then you're ready to go. So for people who are using a lot of this, is super helpful. Also, export is possible. I was complaining yesterday or 2 days ago that we cannot do the export, but of course we can. We just have to go here, but now I have to find it again. That would be tricky. Where was it? It's here. No. No, just wondering what's going on. It's the windows are closing. Huh? What is that? Was meinst? Was? Okay, I try now. And now? I found it, yes. Thanks God. And now you can export it here as well. So you can download it or make a diff with the previous configuration. Who's using a Mac? Who's using Alfred? Or who's knowing Alfred? Alfred is a pretty cool tool as a replacement for Spotlight, where you can make fancy things like, I don't know, I show you, you can go Icinga and say I would like to go for Cube, and then open up Icinga directly from your shell without logging to the interface. It's pretty easy. So if you're using Mac, I highly recommend using Alfred. I'm not getting any promotion codes for here, but I'll show you how it looks like. You go to web search, get your custom web search here, and then you can enter your search URL, your search query, and the keyword to start, and then you can go directly from your Mac and going into the Icinga web and looking for host groups, hosts, and services, and all that stuff. I don't sell licenses afterwards. But that's a cool feature going there. All right, going back to the slides. New features. Icinga for Windows. Who has been in the talk from Christian in the morning? Which is, I'm sorry, I didn't plan the rooms accordingly, though you'd have to stand, was my fault, because last year was already full, and we should bring him to another room. Christian, which is usually in sales, I try to repeat it, he's a salesperson who did all that stuff in PowerShell as the future Windows monitoring for Icinga. And because the room was so small and it was my fault, now it's on you because you have to look the video again. Christian prepared to show what the Windows monitoring can look like in the future. shame. I'm super proud and feel ashamed in the same way. But he did an excellent job. If you really would like go deeper, so we recorded his speech. The slides are on there. You can ask him, of course. I will not go any other Windows detail because, first of all, I have no clue how it works. I know what PowerShell is, but that's it. So Christian knows it better. If you want to learn about Windows monitoring, you have not been to Christian's talk, please check the archive later. So usually like 2 weeks after the conference, you find all the talks there. Icinga for AWS. What it is, it's not in general new because we had an AWS import source in directive previously, but we now have a known model for it. Will be perhaps is the wrong word. We'll pretty much have more features in the future. What it is, Icinga right now is Icinga for AWS is right now important. They have director in place. So what it does, it has support for multiple regions in AWS and also object types. I come through it later on. There are direct modifiers where you can handle incoming data from your AWS infrastructure and keep in sync with your autoscaling groups. And there's also the synchronization mechanism, which I mentioned already, that you get your data from AWS in place with your monitoring infrastructure. So one thing is like you have multiple AWS resources where you can connect to whatever AWS region, your object type. Right now we have EC2 instances, but also load balancers and multiple AWS types are supported. There's also the way that you can have property modifiers where you can blacklist or whitelist specific objects because there are things in your autoscaling group you would like to have in your monitoring. That makes it super easy to get this done like every 5, 15 minutes, whatever. And also with the synchronization part, and I see now that the screenshot is not helpful at all. But what you see is like a screenshot from lots of data coming from the left to the right, and at the end we sync it and put it to director. Which is helpful if you use AWS together with director, get your autoscaling group in it. You should definitely have a look on that module. Icinga for Jira. Who is Jira? Not who is using Jira? Oh, a lot, okay. Who knows that module exists? Not a lot. Okay, that's cool. Icinga for Jira, what it is, it's up there, hassle-free deep integration with Atlassian Jira. So it's an Icinga module which is able to get all the data out from Jira and show it in place to your monitoring configuration. You can see it here. You see your tickets. I have a better screenshot later on. So what it does, You get a detailed issue list with all the project and issue information in Icinga, including the avatars of Jira. There's direct command coming with the director where you can create tickets on the fly as pretty much as a notification using it. And you can also trigger custom workflows with the Jira. The overview is not much better now, but you can see that we are getting the avatars and icons. We get the issues and projects out of Jira. There's the Jira host notification. And another screenshot that makes it more clear, for example, is that way that you can create specific Jira issues out of Icinga. Where the Jira project and issue type is queried from Icinga, we get this information out of Jira, and you can select which Jira project and issue type you would like to use. And there's also a way to write a specific description and use it in a template, which means you can all fill the specific Jira issue tickets using the template you can develop on the Icinga side and pre-fill it with the relevant data out of the Icinga notification, giving performance data, responsible person, or whatever. So we have an integration in both ways. You see the issues, you can create them out from Icinga, which is really helpful if you use it. All right, IcingaDB. All right. What it is, this is the exact same slide like last year. Anyway, hold on. What IcingaDB is. IcingaDB is a replacement not only for IDO, but for IIDO. So we had, for many years, because in the core, the database model is pretty much the same for all the years. We have, especially in large environments, we have sometimes performance issues. The schema, again, does not provide any helpful information regarding SLI reporting, so we can do that on the old database schema. But for example, all the SLA data is in one table, Icinga state history, where there's a procedure, you can go all through it, but it's not built for that. And also for the flexibility for future stuff in Icinga. How that works, like, kind of. No, it's not kind of, it's how it works. Right now, what we're doing with Icinga, and I explained that last year, that most of the information we have to update in the database again and again is nothing else perhaps than again okay, again okay. In a large environment, we update like every 5 minutes, we say disk okay, disk okay, disk okay. We write that to the database all the time, but in the next 5 minutes, we throw the data away and update new ones. And that's performance-wise not so smart. So what we do now, Icinga writes all the data with a Redis Writer feature, which will come up with a 2.12 Icinga. We have a Redis Writer feature. We write all the data into Redis. And then we figure out if it's like a structural information, we need to build up the web interface and figure out relations between objects and like basic names. We write that into an RDBMS, MySQL or Postgres, and all the volatile information just stays into Redis, like the last OK. State changes, for example, we have to write in the database because we need the state changes afterwards to have an SLA reporting, but not the current last plugin output, for example. If we just like an updated OK, we don't need to write them here. And so Icinga Web, what it does, it reads the data from the database to create the structural view, perhaps permissions and all that stuff, grabbing the data out of the database, and the rest of it, like plugin output and stuff, is coming from Redis. Why did it take so long? It's a good question. I answered that for you because now everybody has like a TV channel, right? We have like Disney TV and Apple TV and Amazon Prime and of course we have that crap too. So here's an explanation why it took a while to bring IcingaDB to reality.
Y me llama el cocinero. Risita, ¿qué? Ve por la paellera. Venga, que las 2 de la tarde ya están aquí. Mira, el bañador, en las chanclas. Todo despeinado porque no me dio tiempo nada ponerme las chanclas y el bañador. Voy a la playa, había subido la marea. Había subido la marea con triple paella. Y la encontré porque Estaba la paellera agarrada entre las piedras de Chipiona, del faro. Y cuando entro en el restaurante me ve el cocinero con una paellera y a veces la vende paellera. ¡Asómate, mira dónde llega el agua! Llegaba el agua hasta el restaurante. Que subió la marea. Jesús, hay que hacer ahora con los 2 sacos de arroz. ¡Ay, llama para Sevilla! ¡Llama a Sevilla que traigo Jesús, yo con el bañador y con la paella. El cocinero, no vea, para Sevilla. Y al último, que cuando ya salió la bien de regla, estamos llorando los dos. Me cobró el tío la... Me cobró a 500 metros.
This is what I do at the weekend. All right. This year we have a demo. And it will be hopefully great. It will. It's no video. It's no video. All right. The resolution is not so good. I try to make it better. Perhaps I regret it, but... Should I try it? No. Ah, come on. We have time. Yeah. Okay. Right now it's named IcingaDB because IcingaDB itself, from the web perspective, will be a replacement for your current monitoring module. At some point, we also need perhaps like a dual mode, and also there's stuff to do still where we get your old status data history in the new database model. So it will be an additional module in the first place. Currently, like now in my demo, it's like IcingaDB. So first of all, it looks, now it looks on the screen, it's crazy big. If you're familiar with the old Icinga web, you see that we don't have any icons anymore. So all that information, if something is okay, or is it in a downtime, or is it acknowledged, like here, we all have that in the visual component on the left-hand side. So all the icons are gone. We had distributed over the layout. Let's see if we can find a critical host. Map server Amsterdam. Coincidence. So something, for example, we changed that things like a downtime is now going to a modal. We don't have the right bar anymore. If you can remember, previously, like the whole column switched in. All that stuff like comments and all the things are going to be in a modal. So I'm creating a downtime. I don't know. Evening event. So it's directly in there. You can see the downtime here, and I show you another view later on where you can see also the downtime, how it progressed over time. We have a visual check statistics down here where you can see what happened to the last check, how many check attempts we have, the check source, execution time, when the next check will occur, that you can see it on a timeline. And that visual element will be there in multiple other views of Icinga in the future as well, where you can have a graphical overview about your check statistic for that host check or the service check, and you can see that this is moving because the next check is coming closer, and also for downtimes, and I come to that later on, you see it. Also, if you would like to delete the downtime again, you just cancel it, and now it removes. Previously, you had to do all that have to close it again, so it's very intuitive to work with this, with a web interface. I go into another server, which is the Cube. Also, the history part changed a lot. What we have here that you now in every element where you can see a state change, you can see the current state, and you can also see the state it is coming from. So you can see what it was before. Was it a warning? Was it critical? So every time you can see what happened there. Is it like a hard change or a state change? But also you can see every time how many check attempts we have, which is this symbol is. You can see like 2 or 3 check attempts happen on this host object. So everything is in the visual on the left-hand side that you can see it on one view what happens. So what the state is, what state it was coming from, how many check attempts were in there. It makes it much easier for you to figure out the correct data, even if the state history, you can go through it like you know it from Icinga. Going to the services. We have the host state is much more clear to identify in the service view, where you directly in every service can see if the host is okay or not. So we always in every service see the relation to the host, which is pinned on, and see if the host has a problem or not. Also, the plugin output is a collapsible module now, where here's longer, the plugin output itself is not helpful. And this is coming also to the custom variables, where you can open it up and close it again and get more stuff into the detailed output and see what's important for you. Also the notifications, which users are involved in the notification part, which user group, which user gets a notification out of Icinga in case something happens. So let's look for a state type. For example, I use that filter, state type. Damn it. My fault, my fault. Don't fuck it up. Also here, when I look at services which are in the soft state, every time I see how many check attempts are. This is super useful if you use it because it gives you a quick overview on all the services and you see what's going on there. The comments as well. So we moved the icons away and you can see in the tag like if it's acknowledged, if it's, perhaps now it's a little bit small. If it expires at some point. And also the downtimes, if you go on them. So every downtime now has a process bar where you can see how far in the downtime you are and when is the downtime to be expire, which give you a visual impression where you are in the downtime. If you have multiple downtimes, if you have a downtime for current work on the machine, it's helpful where you see how much time do I have without like calculating the time and watch the minutes go by. You can see the progress bar. You also have that in the host itself. So if we go to, what was it, my SQL, I write it down here. I had a downtime created like, I don't know, an hour ago, where you can see how far you are in the downtime. Does it make sense? Hopefully. So that's super helpful, especially if you have multiple of them. You can see how far you have gone in the downtime. The host groups view looks different. So in the host groups view, it gives you a way more detailed overview about how many hosts or services in the objects have a problem or not. You get these what is the name for the charts? Donut charts, and also the services in there. So it gives you a better overview if you have a large environment to go into it. And of course, you can go from the services, you can go to that group like you know it and still keep the group overview on top, which is super helpful if you work in a specific host group. You have to keep that old information up and have it there. Another, and it's pretty much, any questions so far? You're so quiet, which makes me nervous all the time. Waiting for an error? No error occurring. It's pretty cool. We have a view switcher now. So this element, yeah, sorry.
You are switching from the monitoring module to Icinga module.
Yeah.
On the Icinga website, you used to have mappings of username authentication to what the user to actually have on permissions on the monitoring module. Is it going to remain the same with the Icinga module?
Yeah, I try to repeat the question for the camera. So the question is that we have authentication in the previous monitoring module. If you would like to keep them in the new database model, yes. But it will be changed at some point because, especially in large environments, authentication could be a problem. If you have, imagine, like 500,000 services and say, like, this host group is only allowed to see this and that. So it will be a rework required, an update required for all Icinga web modules to cover that new privileges, but the basic foundation will remain and will be the same. So we not take any of the features away regarding user groups and assign stuff which objects you're able to see. So it will be perhaps, it will change, but not in a way that you're missing a feature. Is that a correct answer? Hopefully. Your eyes don't look like my answer made sense in any way. But that will be the same. So the same privileges and what actions you're allowed to do, all that stuff which Icinga is currently capable of, will be available in the future as well. Nothing to do with it. Means the data, how Icinga here gets the data out is totally different, which is of course something you cannot see. So imagine that information here, going back to the host list, what host we have, like the host object and all that stuff, that comes out from the database. But these, for example, comes out of the Redis. So Icinga just reads the data differently, but the authentication and authorization mechanisms on top of it are independent from the monitoring module itself. So you can have the same filter rules, privileges, and all that stuff with the new Icinga DB as well. Okay, going back to the view switcher. Especially in large environments, people sometimes would like to recommend, they would like to see more. And this is what the view switcher is for, which is available in the host and the service view, where you just get more information. And you can see how fast it is. You can have, like, just in the demo, have a couple of hundreds, but also if you have a couple of thousands in it, you can just go through it. You can go back to fixed size, or you can also have the full plugin output in your view, however you would like to have it. So if you would like to have a lot of details on the first hand, you can go there. It also stores that stuff, perhaps also in the user preferences in the future, that you can configure Icinga Web the way you would like to work with it, because we figured out that people have a different opinion. Some people would just like have a super blank list and a lot of objects in one view. Others would like to have very detailed. And so in the future, you as a user can decide, and it's super easy to work with that stuff. And also, for example, here where a service check is overdue, it's pretty easy to identify that object in the long-lasting list of 100 of objects, and you can see what's going on. Any questions? Because that's it for Icinga DB right now. That is what Icinga DB looks like currently. Hold on. Oh. Is it available? Of course. There are currently 2 repositories. It's like Icinga DB, Icinga DB, and Icinga Web 2 module Icinga DB. This is, you guess it, it's like the Go daemon, who is that Icinga DB part, so that if you remember the purple square in my other slide is written in Go, and this is what Icinga DB is, and the module Icinga DB is the web module. So currently we don't have the packages available. If you're familiar with Go, you can do a Go build and a Go run. If you're not familiar with Go, you can go away and wait for the packages later on. They are coming soon. To summarize this, what you have hopefully learned, Icinga Director is out since half an hour. The vSphere stuff is out for 2 hours, I guess, and the Gyro module is out for 1 day. Icinga 2.12, and 2.12 is a requirement for Icinga DB, because with Icinga 2.12 comes the Redis feature, which writes all the data to the Redis, which is currently not on Icinga 2.11. The source is there, the source is there, but the packages will be, as a release candidate, will be there in November, I guess in 2 or 3 weeks, which pretty much makes sense because then November is over. And the same for the Icinga DB release candidate. So the web module as an in the future replacement for the monitoring module will be available in November. I think definitely there's some documentation to do. We will explain you how it works. I think on the first-hand side, it totally makes sense to have perhaps both modules running at the same time. We also know that we have to come up with a migration script that you get all your old Icinga state history information to the new database model and can make reports out of it. There's also a Icinga reporting module coming up. It's also there. There's also a templating there, but it's not yet release ready, and there's the reason why I didn't show it today. But to get all the data out, it's required that we do some stuff and especially make it easy for you to replace the current monitoring module with the Icinga DB monitoring module. Don't forget, IcingaConf. Again, we definitely would like to see you there. We will be there with a couple of people, I guess. And if you have any questions, now is the right time. Thank you so far for listening. Any questions? Do you like it? Because they worked their ass off the last weeks to get it done, especially our web and UX team and the core. They are sitting all in the back that they have a chance to run away if we run in any error, but it works very well. Thank you, folks, for doing it.
Willst du noch kurz sagen, dass wir uns um 3:07 in der Lobby treffen, um die Badge mitbringen sollen?
Das mache ich. Yeah. Any questions? Means we have time. Evening event starts in an hour. Anything? Are you happy? Ah, yeah. Anyone? Oh, thanks God, Robert. I will not give up.
Testing. Okay, I will repeat my question from the last two events. You promised to do a native mobile app for Icinga. Is it still on time?
Now we have to hurry up for the evening event, folks. Sorry. Yeah, well, good question. Not for now. Yeah, the question is not new. That's true. So regarding the mobile app, because we had that question already like an hour ago outside, we started with doing a mobile app. I think it was based on React, I guess. We did some prototyping, and we already had some views and notification done. Honestly, it's a matter of resources. So one thing is we would like to make Icinga way more better and mobile friendly, and also bringing native notifications to your mobile device, say Android and iOS, using web apps, which is now possible that you can do it there. Honestly, having a great fancy Icinga app would be awesome, but we need like 2 or 3 people working on that all the time, and we don't have the resources for it. But I also think that we can bring Icinga Web to a level where the mobile experience should and will be so good that you hopefully don't miss the app so much. Which is then making a long story short, no.
Okay.
There was another question, I think 2 rows behind you, blind.
Hi.
Hi.
Ja, die Jira-Integration, will they work in both directions? So if I acknowledge in Jira, will it be thrown back to Icinga and acknowledge as well?
Yes, and it's configurable.
Thanks.
I just knew the first part of the answer, that it will work, that it's configurable. Thomas knows better. So if you're working with Jira and interested, Thomas is definitely the right person to talk to. Or now he's the microphone, and now we need all time, because he will tell you how the Jira integration works.
But just the model is there to, first of all, have notifications in an automated way. So you define templates to trigger your workflows. You can say for some servers you want to trigger workflows that address your customer. So you ship, let's say, the customer number from the server, from the customer to Jira to special fields. For other servers, like if you need to ask for new resources, if a server has not enough memory, then you want to have a kind of different workflow where you want to trigger the issues on demand, and you can choose, create an issue in a drop-down, choose your workflow you define, and then your Jira will be filled with everything you need. And then, so always if you create an issue that relates to a problem in Icinga, it stores that information to Jira. So you need 2 fields in Jira for that. It updates the state in Jira when the state changes, And if there is a new re-notification for whatever reason, it first looks if there already is an issue. If there is an issue, it makes an update. Otherwise, it makes a new one. And yeah, and you can then say, if I created an issue, then everything is fine. I want to auto-acknowledge the Icinga part, and then the problem is acknowledged, and that's it. Or you can say, no, I do not want to acknowledge, and then the problem in Icinga keeps open.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Maybe as I have the mic, just one little correction. The new feature in Icinga 1.7 with the sync preview is not for changes that human beings did. So this has been built to preview import and sync operations. So if you trigger a sync that will trigger also thousands of changes to your objects, it gives you a very brief, good summary and shows exactly what properties changes, how often, which objects, and so on. So just. But what you described already existed since quite some time.
You're right.
Sorry.
No, no problem.
Hey, in the current web interface, we have the limitation that we, for example, cannot use links as a host vars. I mean, in the new web interface, this Icinga DB thing, will there be possibilities that we can add metadata to a host and use them as a link, for example? So we can, for example, a link to a Confluence page to this host or something.
Can you give me the catchbox, please?
Why?
That's already possible because you have these navigation items in Icinga Web 2, and you configure that with any host or service variable. So you construct an URL and use a custom var or the service name or the host name, and then you share it to users, user groups, or roles. So it's already possible to create links in detail areas. Right.
Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, Bram. That was shared responsibility.
What was the question? Yes, Icinga Web, that isn't forcing me to run an end-of-life PHP package.
I don't know, but perhaps Eric knows, or Thomas knows, or...
Still no? Nothing changed. Okay. So we'll keep repackaging ourselves then.
This is how an interactive discussion should work. Means
yes.
I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever. Sounds good.
Okay.
Let's summarize it. Fantastic.
Yes, let's do it.
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. I don't want to steal your time again. I would like to thank everyone who is involved in that stuff. I hope I didn't fuck it up. It took a long time. Also, internally, we were discussing this a lot, when will it be ready? When will it be ready? And customers were demanding and asking for it. And this is really cool. So look forward to it by the end of November and try it out, give it a try, give us feedback. Always, we highly encourage you to give us feedback because that is what makes Icinga better. So thanks to everyone. Thanks to you for listening. And let's meet in the lobby at 6:45 to catch the buses. Again, if it's raining, please stay inside. If it's not raining, you can go outside. We will have some drinks. We have Wig beer, and we have Wig water. So that's it for now. Thank you very much, and have a nice evening. Thank you.